John here, and welcome to the debut of 5 Minute Films. And this is an idea for a series that I've been working on for a little bit now, and cooking up the right time to do and record. And now it's finally here. And what this is kind of a take on Movie Minute, but instead of examining every minute of a film, this is every 5 minutes. And in those 5 minutes, we highlight certain moments and scenes. But on top of that, add discussion, add thoughts, talk about the film, information regarding the film, and other random talk. So for this debut, we talk about the 1993 classic Demolition Man. And I'm joined with Matt Thomas, also known as studioredband. And we definitely have more parts to record. You can definitely tell in these first couple of parts here, we're still, feeling the waters here of this new series. And there will be other guests, I'm sure, that will join up down the road. And there's an endless amount of movies to do with this new, again, discussion series. And so, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. And also, too, because, we're trying to, and I know it's kind of hard because we never worked on the movie, but, if anybody out there has a thought or a question they would like to add, because we definitely, like I said, we have more parts to record. Definitely, drop a comment down below or a question, regarding Demolition Man. And so, yeah, we'll get to that. But I hope you guys enjoy. And, yeah, stay tuned for more. All right, today joined with
the Rambo Minion Matt Thomas from Studio Red Band. Thank you for having me.
And today is the debut of this discussion series where we take every 5 minutes of a film and we discuss it, but adding to that, thoughts, discussion, knowledge, and just whatever comes up. And join with Matt Thomas again. And today we're going to talk about and go into the classic Demolition Man.
Yeah. Happy Demolition Week.
Yes.
Everybody.
And definitely a classic here. And like I said, I'll sort of lay out some highlights of every 5 minutes of the film. But like I said, we're going to add more thoughts and discussion, some knowledge, and, whatever comes up about the film, whatever Matt knows, whatever, knowledge he wants to bring to the table. So...
Right.
What's your thoughts, I guess, before we get into it, the film itself, what do you think about the film all these years later?
Well, seeing it the first time, going to see it, catching it opening weekend, that was pretty cool. Like, I remember at the time I wasn't super psyched out about the movie because I thought it was going to be I thought it was going to be less comedic and more action based. But I liked it. It's one that I've watched over the years, and I've come to actually appreciate more since we met, actually, because we did a long time ago. We did a ton of Demolition Man, where we deep dived like a whole bunch of things. Like the Van Damme, Seagal version of Demolition Man. I think we did a couple of Q&As on it. So yeah, it's something that over time I think I appreciate more, because now, over the last 5 to 10 years, like actually trying to uncover the secrets and talking to some of the people involved and trying to really wrap my head around what could have been or what could possibly come in the future. It's kind of weird that
we're actually seeing that right now.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that a lot of the things from the movie are kind of happening now. So,
in a way, it's kind of fitting because you see, it's like, how in the world were like the ideas and some of the concepts that you see in the film is happening before our very eyes. And you're like, how in the world did they come up with this stuff? And it just goes to show that how this film is definitely ahead of its time.
Yeah, yeah. And back in April, I think it was, I did a piece from the novelization which is weird because there's like 4 books, 3 or 4 books. This is coming from, but there was a piece in the novelization that talks about these 3 major riots. It's kind of like a prequel to the movie, and they describe these 3 riots which basically destroyed Los Angeles, and like it ends at the point where you meet what's his name, the pilot, Zach Lamb, where you meet Zach Lamb, and I think that the last phrase I read of that was, he says that, the good old days are gone, they're not coming back, and it kind of felt like how the world was back in April. So I think it's very fitting, because I think we're at a point in society where things are going to change now, and kind of like this, how the world we knew, almost seemingly overnight, is gone. We'll never get that back. So,
well, we're not far away from 2032.
Yeah. Oh.
But
what was weird is the early drafts of this were 2018, 2019.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty close.
And we're going to get into that, but to look at the first 5 minutes of the film, and there's some highlights here in the first 5 minutes, which I'll mention. I mean, the film kicks off with the Los Angeles in 1996, and everything is just burning.
Yeah.
And you get the 2 pilots in the helicopter, John Spartan. He's running a thermal scan of the building because you have our villain, played by Wesley Snipes, Simon Phoenix. And, at first, he's finding no trace of the hostages, but, Phoenix is in the building, and then you got the dialogue, the piece of dialogue that Sly says, send a maniac to catch one.
Yeah.
Now, the couple of pilots here, the character Zach Lamb is played by Grandel Bush. This guy you've seen before. He was one of the Agent Johnsons in Die Hard. And Balrog. And
oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. I was in high school.
Yeah. And Exorcist 3. And he's been in some other stuff. And the other guy, the pilot, is played by Pat Skipper. And he was, I guess, for a few episodes of The X-Files, he was the father of, like in some episodes, I should say, of Fox Mulder.
Wow.
So, but to mention those 2 actors, and then the Sly jump, where he jumps out of the helicopter, mention that. And then once he lands on the roof, you got a little gunplay action. And there's some good fight stuff. I mean, some good fights.
Yeah, I like that little Batman thing they do where he's like up against the wall and the guy comes down the corridor and he like swings out his arm at him.
Yeah.
It's very Batman. And
then the one scene where he smashes the guy's head into a piece of glass and throws him down the steps.
Yeah.
Well, what's your thoughts on me? I mean, right from the get-go, we're getting right into the film here. It's really, like, right off the bat, we're setting up the movie.
Yeah, I kind of knew it wasn't gonna be, but I was hoping like it would have been like that through the whole movie when I first saw it, and just like the scope of it, like just how big it was, seeing it being a little kid and seeing that, like where it comes out and it's like you're doing a good deed and all that stuff, and the jump just had me going. Like I was like, all right.
And I'm kind of. What I thought maybe that Sly did that jump because, Cliffhanger came out the same year, which came out in May, but I'm thinking, okay, he probably did a lot of stunts on that. This is not too far out of the possibility, but Sly did not do that jump. He did not do the helicopter bungee jump.
I guess he learned his lesson from First Blood, because I know he did like the last third of the tree fall in First Blood, and he got really messed up on that, so I guess he learned his lesson.
Yeah. What did he break his ribs or something?
Yeah.
That's right.
That sucks. That's gotta suck too, because that's like going from Los Angeles to Vancouver, wearing a like a tank top made out of a sweatshirt, and having broken ribs. Imagine having like the cold air breathing in. Oh,
Can you imagine Salai's like, they're probably filming that helicopter scene. He's looking down. He's like, I'm not doing this again. I've been through this before.
yeah.
I did this on
Somebody
First
call
Blood. I
Buddy
ain't doing
Joe
this.
Hooker. Yeah. Somebody call Buddy Joe Hooker. Get him in here.
Somebody
Yeah.
come in here, but so he jumps out of a helicopter. Maybe I mentioned that, and then you get the first confrontation between him and Simon Phoenix, which, of course, to mention Wesley Snipes. How do you feel? I mean, a lot of people. I was reading some reviews that a lot of people feel this is, you can say, Snipes' show. Like, what do you feel about his performance?
I liked it. Like, I liked it. Like, even though I feel like they didn't go, even back in the day, I felt like they didn't go full throttle. Like, they get you there, right? Like, when he's got the eyeball,
Yeah,
it's like, you feel like, okay, now we're dealing with some, like, evil incarnate. There's definitely gonna, I thought it was just gonna ramp up from there, and they didn't really, it was kind of more like an action villain. I thought they were gonna go for like a hardcore, like, why he's the baddest of the bad. They didn't really do that. And some of the scripts though, they went for it. Like the Van Damme version of Simon Phoenix, Doucette is phenomenally evil. Like, it's just one of those things where I wish they would have remade it, or made a sequel, but made it with Seagal and Van Damme, because it was such a wasted opportunity, and they didn't even use a lot of it in the in this movie. But it is fun to see Stallone do some Seagal lines. Like, somebody put me back in the fridge. That's a Seagal line.
from the script.
Yeah, there is an older draft I'm still looking for. That was written for Schwarzenegger, so that would be interesting to see what kind of line Schwarzenegger had that maybe Sly would have done in the movie, which I know we're not there yet, but I remember there was a rumor that we talked about a long time ago, where someone said that Arnold was an extra in the police station scene.
Oh yeah, I thought was that a rumor
Yeah,
or
I'm not sure. I'm looking into that. Hopefully, when we get to that, I'll have an answer for that.
yeah. But like I said, you get the first confrontation between Phoenix and Spartan in that room, and there's gas all over the room, and he has the what is it, propane? Was it what it is?
Yeah, they're kind of like propane tanks, or
Yeah, and he has a
gas.
cigarette, and he says a line, and maybe I should have written down the line, but
Is it cold in here? Or is it just me?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got it. That's the line I was thinking about. I know he says the line before he sets the room on fire, but I was like, I should have written down the line. But okay, sets the room on fire, and again
Oh,
to
there's another line too. There's another line where he looks at Sly and he's like, I swear to God, I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached. And Sly's
yeah.
like, I'll keep that in mind.
But it's actually that's funny you mention that because that's after the 5 minute mark,
Yeah.
and which would come into play later on in their final finale fight. That
Yeah.
he boasts about that he was, as I said, if it wasn't attached, and
Yeah.
you would see the comeuppance later on.
There's like that part is actually really cool, because they took out a section where like when he jumps up and he comes around and kicks his head off.
Yeah,
Like right before that, like the room's freezing and something happens where they come in contact with the freezing mechanism. So right before he does the jump, he goes to punch Snipes with his forearm, and he cuts his arm open on Snipes' face, and the blood shoots out of his arm, and it freezes in midair, and he turns around and he kind of uses it like a wing, and he turns around and then he cracks him again, and he hits him with it bursts off in his face, but it shoves his nose right through the back of his head. Then he jumps up and goes around on the thing and kicks his head off.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, they should have kept that. That would have been a cool finishing move.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
But around the 5 minute mark, it ends with pretty much LAPD. They come in with the vehicle. So, like in the first 5 minutes of the film, kind of highlighting, a few scenes here, moments. Is there anything that you may know of that maybe was taken out, or?
I think one of the earlier drafts had a blimp. So Sly actually jumped out of a blimp. I'm just consulting the comic here, which has different pilots.
Oh, so it wasn't the Lamb character? Or maybe their names are changed?
No, it's two white guys. And the airship is actually getting hit really bad. And it shows actually Spartan setting up the rope in that. And when he said send the maniacs to catch a maniac, that's the actual title of the first book. And he does the jump. And he goes out, he beats up a couple of the guys here. I'm just double checking to see if any of these guys are the crew from later on, because Rhino and Jesse the Body Ventura, you actually get to see their comeuppance. You get to see the showdowns, like the fights with those two. It doesn't look like it. I know one of them is from later on. And yeah, there's a little bit of a, like a Tango and Cash line, like that. Don't flatter yourself.
Yeah.
Between Simon and Spartan. And it's more like the talking is more during the fight, which is a big difference. And then the thing blows up. I think the airship actually comes down, and Spartan climbs out of the rubble with Phoenix. He drags him out of the rubble with him, and then yeah, you get to that. You get to that part. They actually like do the whole thing with the captain and locking him up and stuff.
Which I forgot about the captain, and I'll mention him when we talk about getting to the 5 to 10 minute mark. I forgot the captain was the same captain from Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of the first 5 minutes of the film, and I mean right off the bat, you really kick off setting up the movie. I mean, it just gets right to it. There's no wasting time. I mean, you get action from the first 5 minutes, introduced to the John Spartan character, introduced to your villain, and you're off to the races. But, the film came out October 8th, 93, and I'm just looking at some notes here as far as like basic production stuff. Now currently holds 6.7 on IMDb. What do you feel about that? I mean, is that?
I guess that's kind of fair. Yeah. You want to know in the script? You want to know what Simon Phoenix's first words are to Stallone?
What do you say?
Like it starts off more. Oh yeah, he sees Spartan coming, right? So he takes a syringe full of like these crazy street drugs and pumps himself up so he can like almost super soldier himself to fight Spartan, and it's very quick. Like Sly comes in the room and he's like, what does he say to him? It's really funny. He's kind of like, he bursts in the room and like, and Snipes is like dousing the walls with gasoline, and he's like, Simon Phoenix, you're under arrest, and Wesley turns around and goes, "Fuck you, fuck you, Spartan." So it's pretty.
Now, what you say? What kind of drug was it again? Or
They don't say. It's where is it here? Where is it? Starting with thermal. Yeah, he goes. Oh shit! Oh, it just says like a syringe. Um, with the like the drugs all hit various lobes. I'm trying to see what kind of drugs they were. Oh, and he does like a line of this blue cocaine, and then a line of pink cocaine, and they affect his eyes, turning one blue and one brown.
so is that
He
why
has
he?
different colored eyes.
So he's on some high powered drugs or
Yeah,
some
yeah,
blue cocaine you mentioned.
yeah. And it's just as it's an orange syringe.
So do you think that maybe, and that's from what the comic or the another script, an earlier
That's
script?
that's I think the shooting draft. So I think that was in the movie, or supposed to be in the movie. And then he's looking on like a monitor, and he sees Spartan coming, and he looks at him, and he's like, "Motherfucker!" And then like he gets up, and he starts like dousing the room with gasoline.
So he was probably preparing himself by shooting these drugs. He's like, I see
Yeah,
Spartan coming. I'm gonna shoot myself up. Get prepared.
yeah, but that's kind of neat because in the movie he has multiple colored eyes, right? He has two different eye colors.
Yeah.
So now you know where he got that from.
Or was that a side effect?
That's pretty neat. I never knew that before. Like this is a draft I found the other day,
Wow.
which is weird because they said that this draft was a comedic draft. Now I know like the other like the Peter Lemkov version, which is like the Van Damme Seagal one I have, is just fucking insanely amazing. And this is like a comedic overpass, but like you could still tell from the looks of it that it was gonna be like a really dark movie. So it's kind of weird. And I know he did make mention. I think I saw it on a production booth where he mentioned that he wanted it to be like uh, Woody Allen's A Sleeper.
Yeah, I did write that, which is part of the development that in the early drafts of the script was a regular action movie with no attempt at comedy, and Waters pitched it.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Waters, who had a hand in the screenplay. Where was I? Yeah, pitched it as an action movie version of Woody Allen's Sleeper, which I've never seen.
Yeah, me either. I saved the trailer to watch, but I haven't watched yet. And I guess we can throw in that that a lot of the other elements, I guess first off would be like H.G. Wells' Sleeper Awakes, which was written in the 1800s or early 1900s or late 1800s. And the other book it was kind of based on was Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which is where Sandra Bullock got her name. In that book, I know that she's in it, but Spartan's not in it. It's another. Lenine is in it, but there's no Demolition Man in it. And then there's something else. I'm drawing a blank, but there's something else that goes with that. Oh yeah, there's a book, Haltak Harka or Harta or something like that. I can't remember the title. It's Hungarian, and they tried to sue. They tried to sue the producers because it's called. I think the English title is Fight of the Future. I tried to get this book. I looked everywhere for it. I looked on Kindle. I was even thinking of like, fuck, I'll just buy the Hungarian version and throw it through Google Translate to read it. But I can't find this book. If anybody out there knows where I can get this book, please let me know. Because apparently there was a lawsuit at one point saying that, you copied this from our book.
Oh, is that the whole, like, there was an ordeal with the film, plagiarism.
Hmm. And then apparently people didn't get
Fly of the
paid.
Dead. Is it Fire of the Dead?
Yeah, Fire of the Dead or something like that. Yeah. So then, and then also, I think Stallone only got paid for this movie last year, and then now they're saying, okay, we're going to do the sequel. And the funny thing on that was, I talked to Rhino, one of the cryocons, a couple of years ago, and there was a big joke. You know, he said the big joke on set at the end was that we were going to have, we were going to do a sequel, and they were going to use the DNA that they found after the wreckage to resurrect Simon Phoenix, but he would be a mix of all the cryocons in one. So a little bit of like Jesse in there, a little bit of kind of like a schizophrenic Simon Phoenix. And it's weird because last month or a month or two ago, they actually said that that was the premise of the Demolition Man sequel. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Like a Frankenstein
Yeah.
version. Well,
So it's
maybe
kind of weird. I was not expecting that at all.
I almost say while I don't think he'll make one like a sequel, but I would be down for like an animated sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, me too, definitely. I know Brian Stutz from Stallone Nation was saying, like with the timing and everything, it would be kind of neat if, you know, Little America turned out to be Demolition Man 2, and I can totally see it. I can totally see it, because I did review that. I checked out some script reviews for it and stuff like that, and it kind of felt like a Spartan traveling the world to make the world better after the events of the first film, like a Spartan travels kind of thing. So it felt like that. And I think it would be cool too, because you could get a really cool Asian older lead in there. So, you know, imagine if you could get like Sly and Julia Nixon for Demolition Man 2. I think that would work great.
Would you have? How would you bring back Phoenix? I mean, if let's say like you were mentioned, like if he was kind of put together like Frankenstein style,
I wouldn't bring him back. I'd go for something new.
maybe kind of like take a little bit of parts from Phoenix.
Yeah, I would like to see like maybe something along the same lines where maybe they could
Keep the
play with.
keep the different eye colors. There you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep the eyes. Yeah.
Or like, or maybe something where they could play with that, where they could play with the DNA thing, but have it not Wesley Snipes, or maybe do have Wesley Snipes, or imagine like an evil Spartan if they used his DNA and he had to fight something that was of his caliber,
Like
you
an
know?
evil
Or,
opposite.
yeah, but I think what they wanted to do it was supposed to be a Denzel Washington movie, and it was like it was in the future. There's concept art for it and stuff too, which is kind of makes me think, hey, that maybe Brian's onto something. That could be a great place to do a Demolition Man sequel. And it has like him having to save like the president's daughter or something like that, and he teams up with the Asian sister of the daughter, and then, but she's like just like, oh fuck, this part of the script I read where she has a really condescending line of Sly, like, yeah, I could have fucking killed you. Like, they have a little conversation thing. But I think that would be great for like a Julia Nixon, because it would be great to see them work again. She's such a great actress, and you know, it would be neat. It would be neat to have an older actress like that
Definitely.
in there. Yeah.
Now, mentioning the director, because I don't think, I mean, there's so much here to mention because, you know, we could talk about the development, we could talk about the casting of Spartan and Phoenix. I guess, I mean, the development, since we're kind of on that, you know, that note where you were talking about the scripts and sort of, you know, sort of the early drafts of the script. you mentioned Peter Linkoff, and he came straight out of Hollywood, like he's straight out of college with no connections. He wrote 7 different scripts, hoping to break into Hollywood, and this was selling the spec script of Demolition Man was his first big break. And he had been inspired by Lethal Weapon and wanted to do something about cops. And he had also read about celebrities wanting to be cryogenically frozen. And his initial pitch was rejected by an executive who didn't understand his frozen cop idea.
Yeah, she was on. They were on the phone. It was like right before a holiday or something like that, and she was like, "Oh, just get back to me when you have something solid." So that's why he wrote like everything over the holiday and then sent it in. I think he had like a pizza delivery job or something like that, and he had like an old boom box, and he traded tapes or something with someone else, and the tape he ended up getting was Sting or the Police. I can't remember the name of that album, but anyway, he was the tape deck was broken, so he had like this boom box in the back seat, and he had no tape deck in his car, and the only song that would play would be Demolition Man. So he would listen to it over and over and over again all day, and he'd be like, "I wonder who this Demolition Man is." So that's kind of where he got the idea. Like, I want to explore who this Demolition guy is.
At which Sting he provided a song for the movie.
Yeah, don't mess with the Demolition Man.
And the finished script where a super cop has to battle the world's deadliest criminal. And I'm just sort of, and this is information you can find out there too. I just figured read it, throw it in there. But in the future where there's no crime, generated more interest. And Daniel Waters, writer known for Heathers, said his version of the screenplay was essentially a rewrite. He changed the script so extensively that when the script went to arbitration, am I saying that right?
I think so.
He received the first screenplay writing credit in early drafts. Yeah, we mentioned Sleeper. That was kind of like an action movie version. He had the idea about a small part of Universal City, a shopping and entertainment area called City Walk, and wondered what it might be like if one day all of LA might be like that.
And you know what's cool? I'll send this to you on the side. Well, what's cool is if you go there now and you walk into Planet Hollywood, Spartan's hanging from the ceiling. They have the puck with Spartan in it hanging right over, like right when you walk in. And then if you look to the right, all across the wall, they have like a little piece of a mountain inside the wall, and they have all of the cliffhanger gear across the wall.
Is Planet Hollywood? How many of those are still around? Because I've only been to one.
Yeah, I've been to the one at Disney and the one at Las Vegas. Was there one at I might be thinking of the wrong place. I'm thinking, wait, downtown Disney and Universal City Walk. That's right next to each other, right? They're practically the same place, right?
Yeah.
Because I've been there. Like I saw it. I have pictures of me with the Demolition Man thing. Like they let me even go up to like the third floor. It was closed off, and they asked me like, yeah, you can go up there and take pictures up there. And I found all these. I found Van Damme's cyborg suit and Fender's cyborg suit, and they had like Robert Englund's first wardrobe from Nightmare. It was right after Wes Craven died. It was like the day after Wes Craven died. And then also on the other side, they had like True Lies stuff and some of the blasters from Star Wars and some different things like that. They cut off his genitals though. Sly's genitals.
His Italian stallion.
Yeah, they cut all that off.
It probably froze and it broke off. It cryogenically frozen. It's Italian sausage.
Don't flag yourself, Pee Wee.
Yeah. Anyways, we're kind of messing around. But what was that? Yeah, he says Waters, his intention was to have fun, that he wasn't trying to be political or deeply examine political correctness. He cited the conclusion of the film where society will need to find a new balance and compromise as representing his own position in the political middle ground. But that's kind of like a small note on that. But that's kind of the development a little bit.
Very interesting.
Is there anything? I guess we can. I mean, maybe we can get into this, like get into the film, like get into the director and also, and such a little bit more. Is there anything else you want to add, and then we get to part two, or?
People should check out this really amazing Demolition Man anniversary episode on the projection booth with Mike White. They have like a 3 or 4 hour deep dive with people from the film. It's just phenomenal. Like I said, this is a movie, like, over time I just come to really appreciate more. It would be cool to get takes from different people from it too, like maybe like Lori Petty. I know, like, when I talked to Rhino, he was like, you gotta talk to Lori because she really got the short end of the stick. And I don't want to, overspeak or anything, but I heard, like, the director really was having a bad day, made an example of her, and just, like, fired her on the spot, made an example of her, even though she didn't do anything wrong. It was just kind of like he needed an outlet and just went for it, which is kind of sad. And I do love Sandra Bullock. This movie, and I even Speed really made me fall in love with her, like, as an actress. This one was kind of like just that, she's so charismatic. You just love her in it, right?
Yeah, you can't help but fall in love with. I mean, it's '90s Sandra Bullock.
Yeah. And like in the earlier draft, like the Seagal Van Damme draft, she's not in it. It's more the Benjamin Bratt character. He's the sidekick.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he's like the Spartan sidekick. But it's just I've kind of wondered, like, over the past couple of years, like, what Lenina would have turned out, how she would have turned out if it was Lori Petty.
It would have been interesting, to see. And I love Lori Petty.
Tank Girl.
Yeah, Point Break, League of Their Own. But since we mentioned we mentioned Daniel Waters real quick before we get into part two and such, the screenplay and Peter Linkoff, and there was another name, Robert Renault.
Yeah, I'm not too fresh up on the Robert Renault stuff.
Now, the director, Marco Brambilla, this guy go on to direct Excess Baggage and Dinotopia, but really, he didn't go on to do much. And I'm trying to figure out why that is. Why do you think this guy didn't really go on to do much? Why didn't him and Stallone work together again? I mean, what's your take?
I have no idea. I'm not really familiar with him.
I'm not either.
Yeah. I know there was... Did you... the stunt guy thing. I'm curious who the stunt man was.
Oh, you mean for the helicopter bungee jump?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was actually coordinated, and I wrote a little note down here, coordinated by Charles Persini, and the stunt man was performed by Kim Bates. And it also says that for the safety and due to the danger of the recoil back into the blades of the helicopter, a decelerator was used instead of a real bungee. And Bates jumped.
You can kind of tell.
Huh?
You can kind of tell when you're watching it. It's got that. The jump has that feel, like it's not like a open slack. It kind of feels controlled.
Yeah.
Especially when Sly comes out and takes the thing off the back, the clip off the back. It feels very controlled.
And apparently, like, the stuntman, the stunt was performed by Kim Bates, and apparently he revolutionized the it was actually, it's mentioned in his IMDb that he was awarded because of somehow he revolutionized this rigging or mechanism for deceleration that would change the way stunts are done from certain heights.
I wonder if they used him.
300
This
feet.
is this is a weird coincidence. All of this is a weird coincidence because, like Peter Lemcall, right? Like I was looking around with Demolition Man stuff. I was doing Demolition Man stuff for the last couple of weeks, like getting this box set ready that's coming out probably sometime this week. So I've been working on it like tons, right? And then I just start finding these things like we were talking about yesterday with the Magnum PI thing, and it's Peter Lemcall, and then all these other things that he was doing. And it's kind of like I felt like just coincidentally started falling upon these things. Like I would watch something and then I'd see his name in it, or I'd be reading something and I'd see his name in it, all like for like 2 or 3 weeks. And then the other day, I was on the Oculus and I was trying to watch the Fear Factor channel, and then I noticed that it was gone. So I was like, "What the fuck? Why is they removed that from the Pluto TV?" So I went and found it on Amazon and started watching it on Amazon. And the first episode of that, they have this new state-of-the-art rigged deceleration bungee stunt. The first fucking thing you see, they go into a hotel. They open the window of the hotel, and they just fucking throw people out the window. And it's got this decelerating bungee cord. So, and it's like right around the same time.
What, of the movie?
Maybe a couple of years difference. Like what? Like 3-4 years difference?
Yes. And now, like, the guy who performed the stunt, he jumped 300 feet from the helicopter.
Fuck.
And he specializes in stunt falls, and that he broke records falling 36 stories on the set of Die Hard and 45 stories off the El Capitan and Star Trek V.
Shit.
So Ken Bates, he's got some balls.
Damn. That's gotta be insane. Cause like I just watching that footage of well, like you can kind of feel like like Die Hard, you can kind of theorize where he did that stunt, right, at the end, and maybe 2 parts at the end, but like just watching that Fear Factor episode, that's pretty. Even though it's decelerated, that's pretty scary because they do POV, right? So you get to see going from the top of the building all the way down to the concrete at the bottom, and it only stops like a second or 2 seconds from the ground.
Yeah, and I think even
you can tell it's not as fast as someone falling, but still, it's pretty. And one guy crawled out right to jump off, and he got tangled up in the wires, and they were just about to drop him, and they stopped. And he untangled himself. Fuck.
I never bungee jumped in my life, and I don't know if I would ever do it. It's just a thought.
Yeah, I would never.
Maybe if it was like 20 feet, and if you gave me like a cushion to jump on, or one of those, what do you call it?
Oh yeah, like those big airbags.
Airbags, yeah.
Maybe. I don't like heights. I jumped off a Corey once, and that was it. Fuck that. Never again.
So, but
even when I go to the theme, like big roller coasters and stuff, there's always that
going
right
over
before takeoff. Yeah, right before takeoff, there's always that. Fuck, am I making a mistake? Am I secured in here?
It's like you hope. But
yeah.
But I think what's his name? Ken Bates. Like nowadays, he's doing a lot of coordinating, like stunt coordinating. So he's probably, stepped back on doing actual stunts himself. But I give props to you, Ken Bates. I don't know how you do it, but yeah, I
It's weird because there's other stuntmen in there, like Rhino's Seagal stuntman from Under Siege 1 and 2 and a couple other movies.
Now Rhino Michaels, for for people who are kind of may not know, he was which character in Demolition Man? He was one of the
Cryocon Elvin. He was like the guy right under Jesse Ventura, or Jesse Ventura was Pain. He was like his right hand man. He's got the long hair and the mustache. And I think he has a little bit of a beard. They show him in that round table scene a lot, which is weird too because like I remember when we did Demolition Man, he sent me a clip, and I remember showing it to you while we were doing a podcast of jumps that they were doing for a charity event, where you get to see like him, I think Frankie Ray too. They like jumped off these huge towers and did these falls. So, yeah, it's great. I guess maybe at that time maybe he wasn't doing that stuff, but I don't know. He's like one of these really interesting characters because he's done like a lot of different types of work in the industry, and it's just amazing stories, about Stallone at Studio 54 and working at the Comedy Store with Pauly Shore's mom, Mitzi Shore, and stuff like that.
And he's worked with Seagal, right? You saying like with Under Siege 2 before you mentioned?
Yeah. He's a really, really nice guy.
So, but yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to make this part 1,
yeah,
and we'll carry on the conversation and part 2 and getting into. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say in part 2, we got some bonus deleted scenes. I guess the first half of the biggest deleted scenes from the movie and such.
And this
is a big mystery.
And this is getting into again the 5 to 10 minute mark of the film, where Spartan carries out Phoenix from the exploding warehouse. So we're gonna get into that, and hope you guys enjoyed part 1 here, and we'll see you for the second part.
Yeah, we'll see you in the future.
Yeah.